Dr. Dave Shoot, Mr. I guess that would be an excellent question to start on. What kind of credentials do you have?
My credentials, as far as my degree, I have a undergraduate degree in recreation and sports management, and then a master's degree in parks, recreation, and tourism management. As well as I did my graduate assistantship at Clemson University. I did my undergrad at Coastal Carolina, and then my master's at Clemson. Then I've been here. I started in 2001 as the aquatics director for the university when the swimming facility for recreational sports first opened. Okay. And I've been here. I became the associate director. And then several years ago became the director of recreational sports.
That's how you got promoted? You became the associate? And then...
Yes, associate first, and then was associate for about 4 years, and then became director.
Okay. So, all right, excellent. So you're the intramural director for ULL, University of Louisiana Lafayette?
The recreational sports director, yes. So pretty much what that entails is being overseeing intramurals, club sports, all of the recreational facilities we have here, the aquatic center, pretty much everything that all the fitness facility and the fitness activities, everything we offer. Ultimately, I have to oversee all of those things.
Okay, you're in charge of a budget?
Correct.
Okay. So who's responsible for the budgeting process exactly?
Well, what I do each year is I submit a budget, a proposed budget to the university. And it would go through my direct supervisor, which is the dean of students, okay, and then the vice president of student affairs, and then on to the administration and finance department of the university for final approval. So I submit what I think, my best guesses at what we would like to spend in each area. Things like travel, capital outlay, which is, what new facilities can we afford to buy, equipment, operating expenses, our staffing needs, because we have, roughly 100 student workers each year that we have to account for, how we're going to pay them, and then our professional staff as well, their salaries, et cetera. So kind of put together all that, my best guesses on what the year will be, and then we submit that for my supervisors, and then ultimately the university to review and approve.
You go through the department heads and things like that?
So I'm considered the department head for recreational sports, and then my direct supervisor, the dean of students, would look at it, make sure that she approves it, and then on to the vice president for student affairs, then ultimately the vice president for administration and finance. Okay. So he's the one that kind of would do the final approvals of everybody's budget for the university. And in our area, our budget comes from a student assessed fee. Mm-hmm. So each year it's pretty consistent, but it's based on the number of students that are enrolled. So if enrollment rises, we might have a little bit more money. If enrollment drops, our funding would drop as well. So we kind of have to watch. We do our best guess at what we think enrollment will be and what we'll look to use, and then not until those final enrollment numbers come in do we really know what we have.
It's about $22. I look at it all the time.
Yeah.
How often is the budget revised?
We look at it quarterly, but we do it once a year. So we submit that budget for approval once a year. Mm-hmm. And the university approves, says yes or no, as to whether or not that's what we can do. So it's a one-time a year approval, but our department, I constantly look at the budget to kind of get a gauge for where we are. As far as travel goes, like I'll continually look at that aspect of it and see if we have any money left in the travel budget, so we can send students or some of our staff to conferences, the La Cursa tournament, for instance, our national intramural and sports conference that we go to, those type of of activities. So.
Okay. Do you ever get burnt out?
Oh yeah, sometimes it can happen, but no, this job is one that I really enjoy coming to every day. It's a fun atmosphere, being around the college students. So the students that we work with keep it interesting, keep it fun, and it really there are probably a whole lot worse jobs in the world. So I absolutely love working here and enjoy being able to help students out. I see the value of what the things we do provide the students. It gives the students a break from the stresses that they have with classes and other aspects of their life. And I think rec sports is a place for them to unwind, meet people, get connected to the university. So the value in what we do keeps me motivated to continue to fight for more funding for the students and for the facilities, so that we can continue to provide high quality experiences for the students. So all of that keeps me motivated.
It is a great outlet. That's how I meet most of my people.
Yep.
So the students you were talking about, say you have two candidates that are the same, just in every aspect. How do you go about hiring them if you only have one to hire?
So what we do, and the way we've been doing it, as a way for some of our student staff to gain some additional experience, we've created a hiring committee.
Mm-hmm.
And so our student employees who have been here for a while, usually made up of student supervisors and senior, more senior, more folks with seniority would serve on that committee. And what they do is they'll have the applicants come in, do an interview, and what that does, it gives our students a chance to be on the other side of the interview process. So our supervisors are getting the experience of interviewing someone else, after they've been through the process themselves. But but we're looking for not necessarily, students usually come to us with not much other experience, but we're looking for people who we feel would do a good job with customer service, that they are dependable. If they've had other jobs, we might check references to see if they were dependable, if they were a good worker at their last experience, et cetera. So those are some of the things that we look for to have the students, set apart. If they did have some experience in sports or officiating, for instance, if they were trying to be an official, or if they had, a swimming background, if they were trying to be a lifeguard, those things help. But really, we're looking for students who are dependable, willing to learn, and seem like they have those characteristics that would make a good employee, outgoing, good with customer service, those type of things.
I gotcha. What's most important to you, the mission, the core value, or the vision?
Well, I use all of those things on a daily basis, but I think I go back to our mission. When I have to make tough decisions about whether or not something for the program is a good idea, or something that somebody's asking to do here is a good idea, I have to go back to that mission and kind of see if it lines up with whatever the request is, lines up with our mission. So I think I value the mission statement, and I go back to that almost on a daily basis to kind of reference if the things we're doing are aligned with that mission.
I got you. If you wasn't here, what would you be, Clemson?
I don't. That's a hard one. I started my career here in Lafayette. Right out of grad school, I got hired to be here as the aquatic professional, and haven't left. So I have a very fond place in my heart for Lafayette and for UL. So this is home to me, and I really don't know. I really can't see myself anywhere else at the moment, or in the foreseeable future. So, Lafayette's home. So,
what do you do to ensure? What are you making sure you do to ensure you grow and develop as a leader?
I think some of those things go back to making sure that I'm attending our national conference, keeping up with those trends that I see our peer institutes doing and our other leading schools around the country. I keep up with kind of the things that I see some of the larger universities doing. I kind of shoot for UL getting to those places. That, and then professionally attending those conferences, going to sessions, getting additional certifications that keep me qualified and improve my qualifications as a leader. So those are some of the basics. Yeah.
What kind of policies are associated with the budget decision-making process within this organization?
As far as policies, we follow the university's guidelines for creating our budget. So, I think that drives most of those. Our budget is controlled or constricted by the fact that we have to follow all university purchasing laws, state laws, et cetera. So, we prepare that budget, submit it for review, it gets approved, and then we have to adhere, to it, and then also to all university guidelines and laws, state laws that regulate how we spend money.
Okay.
So, as far as, we have departmentally, when I'm preparing the budget, I'll work with our different areas, like intramurals or the fitness facility. We'll kind of see what things we have coming up. We'll discuss, for instance, the intramural complex is a new facility for us this year. And so we wanted to make sure when we're preparing the budget this last year, we were thinking ahead, and we were deciding to put a little bit more money in, into our capital outlay so that we could buy some equipment and make major improvements there for this year. So, I take the approach of, where can we get the biggest bang for our university's money, and we'll try to dedicate a little more or less depending on what's going on in each department each year, and where the needs are. So that's the policy that kind of drives it is university. We follow those guidelines, but then the decision making kind of comes back to we have so many areas within our department. We kind of do a needs assessment.
Right.
So we see, is the aquatic center okay this year? Maybe we don't need to dedicate as much money to them for this one period of time, or the fitness center, for instance, its equipment for a couple of years was newer. So we tried to start saving a little bit of money for when that equipment wears out. But during that time, we were able to, maybe put money into other projects in other areas. So
okay, yeah, that's good. Y'all getting a new building, new equipment, and that as well.
Yep.
What are the three most important facets associated with the budget process?
Three most important things. We probably are number one, that enrollment stays high so that our budget's not negatively affected.
Okay.
So for us, making sure that enrollment or hoping that enrollment is steady is a really important factor. Probably also our needs assessment that we do each year, very important that we discuss and have conversations with each department so that they can justify what their needs might be for that year.
Yep. Coming from.
Where are we gonna put it? And then having conversations with our students, seeing what they feel is something they'd like to see more more money put into. So we kind of listen to those needs and
right, like that boxing gym.
Yeah. Yep. So like the boxing gym, we'll listen to kind of what the biggest things are and where we're getting the most usage, and that helps as well. So if we see areas that are the students are just head over heels about a new thing, then we might pump a little bit of more money trying to sure. Right. So and we currently have the club weight room, which is our old fitness center, that is kind of run down and in need of some repair. And this semester with the powerlifting club, we've kind of walked through it, and we're going to do our best to make a proposal to try to find some funding for that to get renovated. So it's needs based. If we had more money in the budget, we could maybe look at it a little bit differently. But we also another important thing. I don't know if I've covered. I probably did more than 3. But the other thing that's important about our budgeting is that we are starting to find alternative funding sources. That we haven't been able to increase the student fee in quite a number of years. So it's important that we are looking ahead and trying to figure out other funding sources. How can rec sports increase our budget in other ways? And one of the ways we've done that is utilizing some outside rental money. So what we've done is during our lower usage times, like the summertime when students are kind of a little bit less in our buildings, we'll reserve and rent our space to outside groups, which can you can provide us with some additional funding that can later purchase equipment for the different areas, or when the gym floor needs to be resurfaced, it can help offset some of those things that we need to do anyway, but it helps us bring in some additional funding to help cover some of those things.
Just like that roof or something like that.
Right.
Okay, and you said the budget is revised maybe like quarterly?
Yeah, we look at it, and we will, if adjustments need to be made, we would do it. But we only once a year submit it for an overall annual approval from the university. So we kind of have to stick to that budget. When we look at it quarterly, we might have to make small adjustments or just realize, hey, we really can't spend any more in this area. We need to focus on this. So yeah, we would look at it and make small adjustments, but it only goes once a year for approval.
Okay, I gotcha. So how do you handle financial decision making on a daily basis?
Well, the first is looking at the budget and seeing if that budget itemized line has funding in it. If it's a capital outlay item, if we don't have the money in that line, it's hard for us to be able to fill that request. But we make those decisions based on if the funding's there, and then I always ask myself what's best for the students. So I use that question fairly regularly when I'm trying to make those decisions.
That's great.
And then we'll also we'll sit down as a group, our professional staff for rec sports, if there's a hard decision to be made, and we would consult together. We would sit and we would kind of talk about it, talk it through, see if if whatever the financial issue would be, how can we overcome it? If we have a few thousand extra dollars in one line item, can we survive if we would move, for instance, in order to take a group of students on to a La Cursa tournament, or an additional team on the La Cursa tournament? Could we find that funding elsewhere and kind of shift a little bit and maybe do without office, do a little less office supply situations, or maybe we don't need basketballs this year if we are able to take this team on this trip. So we do have a little bit of flexibility, and I think it goes back to we try to ask ourselves what's best for the overall number of students. Like, how can we help the most students, give them the biggest bang for their buck? So
yeah, and,
it goes back to that.
We did a little something like that, a little budgeting thing in Canisius 205 early this year. That's crazy. You say that less basketballs in this area, less supplies, staples, and stuff. I don't want to take too much of your time. This is the Canisius 205 question I got to ask. I'm interested in other stuff. Like, what are your success habits?
I think one of the things on a daily basis that I try to stick to every day is taking a little bit of time out of the day to take care of myself.
Mm.
I try to make it a habit to step away from the office for a minute, middle of the day. I usually do it over my lunch break. Either go for a jog or go lift some weights, go for a swim. It does two things for me. It refreshes me. I am more productive when I return.
Most definitely.
But it also gives me a chance to, in a way, assess areas that if I was sitting behind my desk, I might not normally see. If I'm, jogging around the intramural complex at lunch, I can mentally make notes. Hey, that's broken. That this looks like it's in bad condition, or just noticing things that, hey, we could do this better or that better if I'm out there. It also lets me clear my head and just think. Yesterday on my run, I was thinking about I'm doing a job description for a potential job we're trying to create for intramural for recreational sports, and just being away from the desk helped me clear my mind and think of some of the things that I wanted to include. So I'm a fan of taking care of yourself first, making sure that you make time in the day. And that doesn't happen every day. There's days when there's meetings and other things that prevent me from that. But I think that having taking care of myself is a success habit that I think is valuable to people. I think it leads to less sick days and just an overall more productive workforce. I encourage our folks that work for us for rec sports to take that time for themselves as well. So I think it's important.
Yes, sir.
But in addition to that, just making sure that you're always learning, making sure that you are setting the example for your student workers and for the people that work for you. So I think all of those things kind of lead to success. So
terrific, excellent. What mistake do you see leaders make more frequently than others?
Maybe not leading by example, being complacent. So
I got the job now. I don't have.
Yeah. I think maybe not moving the ship forward, just being complacent and not having a big vision. So one of the things my old director and mentor used to always think was just dream it big, because you only get one chance at when you're making these new projects for rec sports, like the intramural complex or the fitness center. When we did the fitness center, his motto was always dream big, so that we shoot for the stars, and you get more. So that's been a kind of a motto that I kind of go back to a lot. Is let's try to make it the best we can. Let's not settle for mediocrity. So I think that's been helpful to me.
So you have a lot of contact with people on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, with on a daily basis, just with the other folks on campus and throughout the country. I mean, I utilize as a mentor, I also use Reds, Mr. Red Laurel. We look at the successes they have or don't have, the trends that they see, and that helps drive some of the things that we might do. We might try. We'll learn from their mistakes, or kind of keep in contact with them to see what are the newest, greatest things. And while we can't always do things on the same scale that some of those larger schools or Reds can do, I try to bring a flavor of that, or at least a little bit of that flair to what we do here at UL. So.
Okay. How do you handle difficult people?
That's a good one. I think when we have a situation, if there is somebody that's being difficult, I think that listening is good. Hearing their side of the story, or why they're being difficult, understanding why. And then I think, one of the things that I've always, if they're upset because of a rule or a policy that we have, or something in that realm, I think that the way I've always found the most success with dealing with it is explaining to them why the policy exists, or why why the rule is this or that. Sometimes students will be upset about small things like, why are you yelling at me for not for working out with a shirt that exposes my back? But then once you explain to them,
we have a situation.
Hey, here's the situation. You run the risk, and we're trying to prevent the spread of this disease that gets on your skin, and eats your flesh is not good. And once you explain all those things, students sometimes will, okay, I get that. That makes sense. But if you're just yelling or just telling them, sometimes that's not the best approach. So, but really, luckily, we don't see that many people who are being difficult. Recreational sports is typically a happy place. There are times, like whether someone might be upset about a officiating, for instance, in a game, or those type of things. But really, those are few and far between. We typically see people when they're at their happiest in rec sports. They're here to have a good time. They're here to enjoy themselves. So we're pretty lucky that I don't deal with that too much.
Okay, good. How many performance evaluations have you performed in the last year?
We do, with each one of our professional staff member, we'll evaluate them, and then our administrative assistant, since she's a classified staff, we have to do a performance evaluation with her each year. But then we also, our other staff does evaluations with our supervisors. The intramural staff does evaluations with their supervisors. So it's kind of for the student employee, it's usually handled under each one of the departments. Okay. And the responsibility of each coordinator. For me, it's more sitting down with the coordinators and telling them whether or not, what are they meeting expectations? Are they not? What could be done better? What are they doing good? Those kind of things happen on a regular basis, but then the student evaluations also happen frequently with at least once a semester with their supervisors as well.
Okay. What's your budgeting application? Like, what kind of technology do you use, and what's the problems with it?
We are currently using, we just started using a new system called Banner. Mm-hmm. It's the system that the university is kind of switching all of their your payroll is now on Banner. The registrar is going to start using it. It has all these functions for the university, and I think the challenge with it has been everybody was used to old systems. As frequently as like 2 years ago, we were using, or last year even, we were using paper still to do our budget, which was a very antiquated way to do it. Now in Banner, it's actually really good. We're just learning the new system. That's the challenge. But it shows you, it has detailed reports. It's easy to look up our expenditures and what money we've taken in from rentals and things. It all, we have easier access to it now, which has been a big improvement. And I think as everybody is more educated on it and becomes better at navigating it, I think that it's a really positive thing for the university. But yeah, before that it was paper.
Okay, excellent. Does this allow your student workers to see the budget?
Student workers do not have access to the budget. Okay. We'd be happy to sit down and discuss it with them. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a state government. It's transparent, but the students don't have access to go in and physically see what we can see in Banner. But we would certainly share the budget with them if somebody wanted to see it. So,
okay. Yeah. All right. Communication is important to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Within our department, within the university, I think communication is an area that, especially our younger staff, we're the way people are communicating in society is evolving so quickly. I think we're losing some of the skills. Emailing kind of loses sight sometimes, or even just finding the medium to communicate with our student workers can be challenging. We don't know if we should Snapchat it. Should we Insta message it? Like just keeping up with those different technology messaging. There's so many options is challenging. I mean, that's something for for me, who I'm a little older. I might be a little bit of technology challenged in ways. I keep up, but it becomes more challenging every day because it's changing so much. Like just kind of trying to communicate with the students, deciding whether it's text or is it email. Half of them don't check email, so you're just always trying to figure out what's the best way to communicate as a staff and as a group. I still think university business-wise, like between departments and with department heads, email is still the messaging medium of choice. But with the student staff, it's I think that's still up in the air as to what the best thing to use is. We use the GroupMe app, and maybe that's the way. But who knows what it's going to be tomorrow.
Just like a personal, have you ever had a problem with communication, like just people-wise? Or
I think as a young professional, I struggled a little bit with it. Maybe you're so close in age as a young professional to the students who are almost your peers, that I think that it's a struggle. With when I was a younger professional, I did. I think that was something that you have to learn. It doesn't happen right away, and it can be a challenge and something that I have to counsel a lot of our younger professional staff with is how are we communicating with the students? How can we better, talk to them and relate to them, so that we can help them develop? Because really, what we're here for is get the job done, make sure everything's running straight. But we're also here to mentor students and all those 100 employees that come here for their job, and the thousands of students that participate in our programs. We want to also be here as a guiding mentor if needed. If they want to talk, we want to be able to listen. We want to be able to offer them advice. So I don't necessarily think that skill was no class prepared me for those kind of conversations with students, but just being a good listener, and you learn over time that you just gotta listen to the students and then try to pick instances from your life that relate to theirs. And I think that over time that skill is developed. But no, I definitely did struggle with it at first, but feel comfortable at this point.
Okay, what's a roadblock that prevents you and your team from doing their job well?
I would say at times the university processes, the things we have to go through, the red tape that we have to cross, and it's not just UL. It is every state entity, government entity has all these layers of approvals and different policies, and then policies change or policies are interpreted different. Maybe a new someone has been in a department for years and it's been okay this way. Well, then a new person comes in, and then their interpretation of the same rule that we've been doing for years might be even different. So you end up, maybe doing paperwork over again, or processes, not necessarily paperwork related, but hiring a new worker is an example. Those policies sometimes can change, and then you don't always know what the process is, so you have to call and check to see what the processes are, and that can be frustrating at times, just the amount of red tape. But it's understandable, and it's not unique to just UL. It's every government agency that exists has those same challenges. But it is sometimes a roadblock in us getting things done quickly. Students sometimes will decide to do something, but then they don't see it for this long period of time. They don't understand why, and it's just a matter of they don't understand that the university has to go through, if it's purchasing something of large value, we have to go through the bid process, and just that process alone just takes a long time. So those processes are frustrating at times, but after a while, I guess you learn to be patient and understand those processes.
Okay, so obviously you're happy in this role.
Oh, yeah.
How could it be better?
I think with one thing that would help me, and one of the goals I have for the department is to grow the size of the staff. Mm-hmm. If you look at other universities our size with the number of students that we serve, I think on an average we would be on the lower end of the number of professional staff that we have. And then I think if you look at our student assessed fee that we have, it also would be on a much lower end of the spectrum. So that additional funding we could do so much more. I think that would be the next thing that would make being in this role easier, and it wouldn't be necessarily easier. It might even be more challenging, because if you have more money and more resources, more problems. But it would make it maybe more rewarding for the students and us be able to do some bigger things. That's basically what it boils down to.
Okay, all right. Just a couple more questions. Just a couple more. I forgot my last question for you. What's your favorite part about being a manager?
Seeing the people that have either worked here as a student worker or have been a professional staff here in the past succeed, leave better than they are, and then see them down the road with with successes, having them be managers somewhere, or have their success stories go on to bigger, better things, going to grad school if they're a student. Just the different life-changing experiences they get to go have, and the appreciation that a lot of the students have for their time here. I think that's when a student tells you they appreciate what you've done for them or the mentorship you've given them, that makes it all worthwhile, and it really is rewarding when somebody is successful and thankful for the the services you've given them. So yeah, that's why we do it, I think.
Yes, sir. Wow, we really appreciate this.
No problem,
Mr. Suter.
Absolutely.
And I don't think they'd have a problem with like a $20 to $30 increase. If doing recreational sports, throwing that in the your tuition fees or whatever.
Yep. I'm glad you agree with that.
Yes, sir.
We will continue to try to to work for that, but it's up to student government has to be on board, and the president and everybody have to kind of agree on something like that. But yeah, hopefully in the future we can do that.
Yes, sir. It's a really fun program, and it seems like you have a great job. I would love your job.
It
yes,
is.
Sir.
It's a good job. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time, and good luck with your projects.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
No.